Hello.
Okay, Denny, sounds like
you're on.
Yeah, but I'm unmuted on the webinar.
okay.
Commissioner Fredericks, we're getting through roll call. Just wanted a verbal from you that you were with us.
You just heard him.
Lori, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, sounds like you can't hear us, but we can hear you.
Yeah, right. I cannot hear you on the webinar.
Okay, just hang up on the webinar, stay on your cell phone, and I'll put you on my speaker.
All right.
Okay, Denny, if you could, we're just going to confirm your presence. Confirm your presence one more time.
Dennis Fredericks, I'm here.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum. I'd like to make a motion.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
2021. We have a motion.
So moved.
We have a second. Second. Madam Secretary, would you?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I need to turn mine on as well. First item up for consideration is from the Bureau of Wildlife Management. It concerns the proposed rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code, Section 133.21. The Commission is proposing two changes under this rulemaking to the Commonwealth's list of threatened and endangered species based upon current monitoring data. First, the Commission is proposing to amend Section 133.21 relating to classification of birds to add the northern goshawk to the Commonwealth's list of endangered species. A large secretive raptor of mature mixed forests, the northern goshawk is found in the northern tier in high elevations across Pennsylvania and has experienced both range contraction and breeding population decline over the past 20 years. Primary threats to the goshawks include forest fragmentation and degradation, nest site disturbance, disease, and predation. Pennsylvania lies at the southern limits of the range of the northeastern population of the northern goshawk, which makes this population more susceptible to the above effects. Several recent agency-supported efforts to better understand the species have documented a dramatic decline in the state's population. The agency's Advisory Ornithological Technical Committee has recommended a change to endangered status. This proposed change would tailor protections for the species, including but not limited to limiting or delaying certain activities within known breeding northern goshawk habitat during courtship and nesting seasons. Second, the Commission is also proposing to amend 133.21 to remove the peregrine falcon from the Commonwealth's list of threatened birds. Pennsylvania population of nesting peregrine falcons has continued to increase since the Commission's upgrade of the species from endangered to threatened in 2019. And the objectives established in the Commission's 2013 through 2022 Peregrine Falcon Management Plan have been achieved. The current status revision comes after more than 40 years of conservation recovery action in Pennsylvania and nationally in which the Commonwealth has taken an active role. The proposed status change accomplishes a significant victory for the Commission and as the third high-profile raptor recovery following the bald eagle and osprey, in demonstrating that an endangered or threatened species listing is not a permanent designation and that recovery is an achievable goal. You'll find the text of these amendments on pages 2 and 3 of your agenda.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion. We second. 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 Madam Secretary, please call a vote. Any discussion first?
I'd like to chime in on that, with goshawks being, literally in my backyard as a resident of Warren County. I spent some time talking to some large timber industries in that area, and, you know, they control a lot of property in and around the Allegheny National Forest, and, you know, they said to me, make no mistake about it, we're not happy about this, but we understand the reasoning why this is necessary. So I just want to give a shout out to the Game Commission staff for facilitating those discussions with the industry and getting their support for the listing of this species. The scientific community, I mean, all indications are the decline is precipitous, and it's our duty as wildlife managers and as an agency to not stand by and watch it continue to happen. So I, for one, am looking forward to the recovery plan coming out for this, and I'm looking forward to the day that goshawks are scratched off the way peregrine falcons are today.
Would you like to call for a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for consideration concerns the proposed rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code 147.551 through 147.559. The Commission has initiated a review of the DMAP and Red Tag programs in response to public requests for various modifications. The Deer and Elk sections organized a meeting of organizations who use or represent groups who use DMAP and Red Tag programs. These participants were asked to provide input on 3 separate questions: what works, what doesn't work, and thirdly, how do we fix the items that do not work? The Deer and Elk section provided an overview of input from the external organizations, followed by an open discussion of potential changes to both programs to address external and internal needs. The following recommendations of changes to sections 147.551 through 559 are offered to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the Red Tag program were generated as a result of these efforts. These changes are not intended to take effect immediately, but rather will take effect July 1st, 2022 to allow for a smooth transition to the new program standards. The changes are as follows. Number 1, remove the public access requirement and signage requirements. Number 2, change to 4 permits per season to be consistent with DMAP. Number 3, Red Tag permit will be valid from August 1st through September 15th and February 1st through April 15th each year, and it will effectively remove the summer dates formerly associated with the Red Tag program. Change the permit start and expiry date of July 1st through June 30th to be consistent with other PGC permits and auto renewal. 5, remove the limit of 1 deer per hunter utilization, allowing hunters to keep all deer harvested. 6, remove farmer landowner reporting requirements and instead require hunters to report both positive and negative harvests for each year, for each harvest by permit by April 30th each year. Number 7, remove the PA residency eligibility requirements. 8, replace the SNAP tags with standard harvest permit tags issued through the PALS system. And lastly, 9, refer the baiting authorization text to 141.1 relating to special regulations areas for improved consistency. The text of your amendments can be found on pages 4 through 9 of your agenda.
We have a motion.
Motion.
And a second,
Second.
discussion?
Mr. President, if I may. So, again, another shout out to the staff. This is something that was worked out from field staff up to Bureau. Recognizing that what we had was kind of outdated and not working. So the only thing I would encourage is everybody in the agency could look at the red tag program and tell you that it was just not productive anymore. So I would encourage staff, field staff, Bureau staff, to just keep an eye on this program, and when it runs its course, figure out what the next step is. But thanks to you and all the people, the Deer management team, the field staff, the Bureau people who put some time and effort into this. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. I'd be remiss if I didn't say I can't personally take any credit for this, and it's not even just our Bureau and the field staff and our constituents that all got together and provided input, but other bureaus as well. Administrative Services and BATS play an important part in making this work. Bureau of Wildlife Protection helped us translate what we had in our minds into the legalese that's on the agenda item. So like anything else, this has been a real team effort, and we're, as you say, we think it's an improvement, and we'll continue to monitor that and make improvements as we go along. Thanks.
We had a couple constituents here that voiced their support. So Commissioner Layton, this is my word to you that since I'm on this board longer than you will be, I'll keep on those guys for follow-up, because their input on this is critical, and the partnerships that we have with those organizations is critical. They provide our food, and so we're looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this.
Okay, would you call for a vote, Madam Secretary?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, the next item up for consideration concerns the adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code Section 141.62. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of the Commonwealth, the Game Commission, at its April 10th, 2021 meeting, amended Section 141.62 relating to beaver and otter trapping to eliminate the restriction on the number of traps that beaver trappers can set during the 5-day period after the closure of the otter trapping season. The text of these amendments can be found on page 11 of your agenda.
Do you have a motion?
Second.
Second. Discussion? No discussion, Madam Secretary, would you call a vote, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for consideration is from the Bureau of Wildlife Protection, and it concerns the proposed rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code Section 131.8. The Pennsylvania population of nesting peregrine falcons, Falco peregrinus, has continued to increase since the Commission's upgrade of the species from endangered to threatened. This action allows the Commission's Peregrine Falcon Management Plan, dated 2013, in which the objectives for delisting of the species were established. Section 925I of the Code states that in addition to the fines and costs imposed for the violations pursuant to subsection B, the costs incurred by the Commission for the replacement of the species involved in the violation shall be assessed by the magisterial district judge in such amount as is fixed by the Commission. Upon the peregrine falcon's delisting, replacement costs for the species will be reduced from $5,000 at its current status as a threatened species to a default of $200. Notwithstanding its efforts to delist the peregrine falcon, the Commission has determined that the species necessitates further protection from unlawful takings in the form of an increased replacement cost upon its effective delisting date. The Commission is proposing to amend 131.8 relating to replacement costs for wildlife killed to increase the replacement costs for peregrine falcons from $200 to $2,500. You'll find the text of these amendments on pages 12 and 13 of your agenda.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second. Any
Second.
discussion? None being heard, Madam Secretary, would you please call for a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for consideration concerns the adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code Section 131.2 and 141.1. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Game Commission at its April 10th, 2021 meeting amended Section 131.2 and 141.1 relating to definitions and special regulations areas to define and authorize the use of firearms that utilize straight-walled cartridges within most areas designated as the special regulations areas, and also reorganize Section 141.1 to provide a clearer and more seamless construction within the section itself and with related arms and ammunition provisions. You'll find the text of these amendments on pages 15 through 17 of your agenda.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
With a motion and a second, is there any discussion? None being heard, Madam Secretary, will you call the vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for your consideration concerns the adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code Section 147.804. To effectively manage the wildlife resource of this Commonwealth, the Game Commission at its April 10th, 2021 meeting amended Section 147.804 relating to general to expand the species eligibility for mentored hunting program to include participation in waterfowl, bear, and expanded spring or special turkey seasons. Existing regulatory structures will continue to authorize mentored youth hunting over the age of 7 at the time of application, and mentored adults to make application for bear licenses and special wild turkey licenses as a direct applicant. Mentored youth hunter under the age of 7 years of age at the time of application will be authorized to receive the harvest tags from bear and special wild turkey licenses by transfer from a mentor in a similar fashion to other big game harvest tags. You'll find the text of these amendments on pages 19 and 20 of your agenda.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? With none being heard, Madam Secretary, we take the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, the next item up for consideration comes from the Bureau of Wildlife Habitat Management. It concerns contract number L-3776 on State Game Lands 157 in Bucks County. At the Commission meeting on January 23rd, 2021, the Board of Commissioners approved a donation from Natural Lands Trust, Inc. of 15 plus or minus acres of land in Haycock Township, Bucks County, an indenture into State Game Lands 157. NLT was successful in receiving funding through a partnership grant provided by the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and the United States Fish and Wildlife Service through the Highlands Conservation Act. However, the Highlands Conservation Act funds are payable to the Commonwealth only as reimbursement. The Commonwealth has determined that the most expeditious way to move forward is for the Commission to accept a subaward for the federal funds from DCNR and provide the HCA award amount of $85,000 to NLT from the Commission's restricted revenue account set through the Treasury for other cost-sharing funds, and then directly to HCA federal reimbursement amount of $85,000 back into the restricted revenue account. This has the double benefit of being efficient, as well as ensuring federal dollars can be tracked directly to the acquisition project as intended by the HCA. The net effect to the restricted revenue account or the game fund is $0. To accomplish this, the Board of Game Commissioners must approve the use of the restricted revenue account, payment from the account, and the subsequent acceptance of the federal HCA funds deposited into the account.
You have a motion? Second? You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Pete, can you just touch on this a little bit?
Sure. So the previously approved agenda item, in order to fund that fully, we need to provide some financial resources to the Natural Lands Trust for that acquisition. In return, we will be able to accept some federal funds through our restricted revenue account that's basically being utilized as a pass-through, but it was the only way to make the grant work. Everybody was on board from the DCNR side, Natural Lands Trust, and this was the only way to really make that happen. So there will be more of these in the future. In fact, there's another agenda item very similar to this, but this seems like the most expeditious way in order to accomplish what we're trying to ultimately accomplish, which is filling out the indenture on Haycock Mountain.
Thank you.
Anything else? Madam Secretary, will you call the vote, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number L3782 on State Game Lands 168 in Northampton County. Rodney and Judith Holzer are offering 19.2 plus or minus acres of land in Lehigh Township, Northampton County, adjoining State Game Land number 168, as shown on Exhibit Red 1 on page 23 of your agenda. The option price is $33,000 lump sum to be paid with funds from the Game Fund's restricted revenue account, other cost-sharing funds. Access is through the existing State Game Land number 168.
Motion to accept.
Second. Any discussion? None being heard, Madam Secretary, we will take the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number L3765, State Game Lands 46 and 156 in Lancaster County. This is an informational item that requires no further action from the board. At the commission meeting held on April 7th, 2020, the Board of Game Commissioners approved an exchange of a 9.36 more or less acre property known as the Brady Henderson Elementary School in Huntingdon County to Alabaster House in exchange for a portion of the consideration for the acquisition of 392.3 more or less acres of land in Elizabeth Township, Lancaster County. The exchange of the Lancaster County property was to be completed in cooperation with the Natural Lands Trust, Inc., NLT, with funding provided by the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, DCNR, and the United States Fish and Wildlife Service through the Highlands Conservation Act, HCA. The school building has been transferred and the money made available to NLT for the exchange by Alabaster House, Inc. However, the HCA monies are payable to the Commonwealth only as a reimbursement. The Commonwealth has determined that the most expeditious way to move forward is for the Commission to accept a subaward for the federal funds from DCNR. Provide the HCA an award amount of $1,471,041 to NLT from the Commission's restricted revenue account set through the Treasury or other cost-sharing funds, and then directly to accept the HCA federal reimbursement back into the restricted revenue account. This has the double benefit of being efficient as well as ensuring federal dollars can be tracked directly to the acquisition project as intended by the HCA. The net effect to the restricted revenue account or the game fund is $0. To further reduce delays in the NLT receiving the payment of HCA funds, approval to use the restricted revenue account, payment from the account, and the subsequent acceptance of the HCA funds deposited into the restricted revenue account was submitted as a notational vote to the Board of Commissioners on April 12, 2021. By a unanimous vote, the Board of Commissioners voted to approve the use of the restricted revenue account for the above described purposes. Again, this is an informational item only, and no further board action is required. The next item up for consideration concerns the non-surface oil and gas cooperative agreement tract 66A-21 on State Game Land 66 in Sullivan County. Chesapeake Appalachia LLC of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, requested the commission offer its oil and gas ownership under a portion of State Game Land number 66 for oil and gas development. The proposed tract, containing approximately 600 more or less acres, is located in Collie Township, Sullivan County, as shown in Exhibit OGM 1 and 2 on pages 26 and 27. Actually, OGM 1 on page 26 of your agenda. The terms of the agreement are paid up 5-year non-surface oil use and gas agreement, a $1,500 per acre bonus payment, and an 18% royalty. Chesapeake Appalachia LLC has a strong lease position surrounding this portion of State Game Lands number 66 and has initiated well drilling and development programs on adjacent private lands. Chesapeake Appalachia has the ability to unitize the Commission's oil and gas reserve by horizontal drilling with no disturbance to the game land surface. Game Commission staff has negotiated with Chesapeake Appalachia LLC in an effort to ensure that the prudent development of the Commission's oil and gas reserve and simultaneously protect the wildlife resources and recreational use of State Game Lands number 66. The proposed payment of $900,000 shall be paid directly into the game fund, and as an additional compensation, Chesapeake will also convey a 0.39 acre interior parcel located on State Game Lands number 285 in Darlington Township, Beaver County, to the Commission. This is as shown on Exhibit OGM 2 on page 27 of your agenda. Further rentals and royalties shall be directly deposited into the game fund. Oil and gas development will be regulated by the Commonwealth's oil and gas regulations and the Commission's standard non-surface use and gas development agreement.
Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please call the vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item up for consideration concerns underground mining mineral agreement tract 153A-21 on State Game Lands 153, Indiana County. Brit Energies Incorporated of Indiana, Pennsylvania has requested a 25-year agreement to deep mine and remove the Loyal Hannah limestone from beneath approximately 616 acres of State Game Lands number 153, as shown on Exhibit OGM 3 on page 30 of your agenda. The proposal entails developing an underground mine to access approximately 584 acres of commission-owned stone reserve through a mine portal and a processing area located on the recently acquired 33-acre Stilley Tract portion of State Game Lands number 153. The Stilley Tract was deeded to the Commission on February 18, 2021, after a surface coal mine operation were completed. The surface impacts will be limited to the 33-acre Stilley Tract, and the proposed underground portion of the operation entails mining an estimated of 149,140 tons of Loyal Hannah limestone per acre by removing approximately 60 feet of stone and leaving 50-foot by 50-foot pillars in place to ensure that no subsidence occurs as a result of the mining. As compensation to the Commission, Brit Energies will pay a royalty rate of 50 cents per ton of stone for years 1 through 10 and 60 cents per ton for stone for years 11 through 20 and 70 cents per ton of stone for years 21 and beyond. As additional compensation and to offset the habitat loss and recreational use of the State Game Land from the portal and processing plant, Brit Energy through Mystic Development will convey a 190-acre tract in Brush Valley Township, Indiana County, as shown on Exhibit OGM 4 on page 31 of your agenda. The Mystic Development Tract is an indenture in State Game Lands 273 with public road frontage that provides access to an area of the game land previously not readily accessible to the public. Mining will be regulated by the Commonwealth's mining regulations. in the Commission Standard Industrial Surface Mining Agreement.
You have a motion?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Pete, how much, as we're reading here, February 18, 2021, is that when the mining ended and we took ownership of the property?
That is correct, and that is at 33 acres, the Stilly tract, correct.
Has that been reclaimed? Where are we at on that?
From what I've been told from the regional staff and Mike DiMatteo and his team, that it's been reclaimed, but we could have done better. I think there's more work to be done there, and that's why, you know, if we drifted them up to that site, because the impacts were going to be pretty limited as far as quality, you know, habitat was concerned.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? No other comments? Madam Secretary, will you call for the vote, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The last item up for consideration in old business concerns the bituminous coal surface mining agreement transfer and mine expansion on tract 198A-21 on State Game Lands 198 Blair County. RES Coal LLC of Armagh, Pennsylvania, has requested the Commission to authorize an additional 95 acres of surface coal mining to facilitate the transfer of the existing EP Bender Coal Incorporated agreement and to continue mining operations in a manner to ensure reclamation of the current Job 86 surface mine operation. The 273-acre tract 198A-21 area will be comprised of the existing agreement of 178 acres and the expansion area of 95 acres. The 178-acre surface mining operation was approved by the board in October of 2003 and is currently operating under an approved Commission bituminous coal surface mining agreement. The 178-acre lease agreement with EP Bender Coal Company will be transferred to RES, and the mine would be expanded by an additional 95 acres, of which 84 would be the new mining area, as shown on Exhibit OGM 5 on page 33 of your agenda. Approximately 900,240 recoverable tons of coal exist within the expansion area. The Commission does not own the coal rights on this property. RES will assume all reclamation responsibility of the existing permit lease area, which includes backfilling, regrading, and reclamation of an estimated 1.3 million cubic yards of current open cut. The reclamation plan will be developed in coordination with the Commission's Harrisburg and Regional Habitat Management staff. The terms are a 10-year agreement and a royalty rate of 5% FOB pit price per ton of coal removed from the state game land. All coal royalty payments will be deposited into the game fund. Mining will be regulated by the Commonwealth's mining regulations and the Commission Standard Bituminous Coal Surface Mining Agreement.
Motion to accept.
Motion, second. For a second? Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President, if I can. So I had an opportunity to meet with a representative from RES Coal on this site, where they'll be taking over the operations where Bender Coal Company currently has. Bender has pretty much halted operations, if I'm correct, on this site. So right now, that site is kind of sitting stagnant. There's a lot of work to be done to reclaim this land, and I would just ask the commission to support this so that they can finish this project. The amount of acreage that is coming up is pretty negligible at this point, but the reclamation that we're going to get out of this is going to be great. So I would just ask that you support this one.
Thank you, Commissioner Layton. Any other comments? None being heard. Madam Secretary, will you call the vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, at this time, new business, Jason, we have two resolutions. Would you please read them?
Yes, I have two pre-prepared board resolutions before me. I will address them one at a time. The first is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners. Whereas the Commonwealth has experienced a consistent decline in hunting and participation over the past several decades, and whereas these declines have negatively affected participation both by resident and non-resident hunters, and has resulted in an accompanying steady decline in the number of licenses sold and revenues generated. And whereas the Commission recognizes that youth participation is vital to maintaining the long-standing tradition of hunting within the Commonwealth, and whereas Section 2303 of the Game and Wildlife Code relating to hunting on Sunday prohibited currently provides very limited Sunday hunting opportunities within the Commonwealth, whereas expanded Sunday hunting can be an effective means of recruiting new hunters and retaining current hunters by increasing the value of a hunting license by offering additional opportunities to spend time in the field. And whereas the Commission recognizes that it can effectively double the number of hunting days for youths during the school year by offering additional Sunday hunting opportunities. And whereas many residents of this Commonwealth seek additional hunting opportunities and hunting leases in neighboring states that offer Sunday hunting. Whereas the Commission has determined that Sunday hunting will help keep Pennsylvania hunters in Pennsylvania. And whereas the Commonwealth has a long-standing tradition of hunting camps and clubs. And whereas expanded Sunday hunting opportunities could effectively double the number of hunting days for camp owners and club members. And whereas expanded Sunday hunting opportunities have the potential to provide substantial economic benefits to the rural areas and businesses by increasing money spent by hunters on lodging, food, gas, and other incidental items. And whereas expanded Sunday hunting opportunities have the potential to generate a substantial increase in out-of-state licenses sales and the accompanying revenue for the Commission. And whereas the hunting license sales and their associated federal matching funds are a primary revenue source for the Commission in carrying out its mission, including maintaining 1.5 million acres of state game lands and the acquisition of additional public lands, research and management of wildlife, and providing information and education to the public. And whereas expanded Sunday hunting opportunities could effectively generate $629 million in additional spending and create 5,300 new jobs, resulting in $18 million in additional sales and income tax. And whereas the mission of the Pennsylvania Game Commission is to manage wildlife and its habitat for current and future generations. And whereas expanded Sunday hunting opportunities would provide the Commission biologists with a new tool to manage wildlife populations. And whereas the Commission has observed that the 43 states that currently permit Sunday hunting have not experienced any discernible negative impact on the health or vibrancy of game populations by allowing Sunday hunting. And whereas the Commission's Board of Commissioners recognizes that the authority to expand Sunday hunting lies entirely with the General Assembly of Pennsylvania. And whereas if the General Assembly repeals the restrictions on Sunday hunting and grants the Commission the authority to regulate Sunday hunting, the Board recognizes that many stakeholder groups that any actions on Sunday hunting will affect and will endeavor to engage these stakeholders before passing any new regulations in regard to Sunday hunting. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Pennsylvania Game Commission does hereby urge the General Assembly of Pennsylvania to repeal the prohibition on Sunday hunting in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
We have a motion. Motion. Second. Any discussion? None being heard. Madam Secretary, you call the vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The second resolution is a resolution on the Blue Ribbon Panel recommendations. Resolution made this 24th day of July by the Pennsylvania Game Commission Board of Commissioners an independent administrative agency of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, supporting the recommendation of the Blue Ribbon Panel on Sustaining America's Diverse Fish and Wildlife Resources and recommending Congress dedicate to the states and its territories $1.3 billion annually in existing revenue to diversify funding and management of all wildlife. Whereas Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution provides for the preservation of the natural values of the environment as a birthright of every Pennsylvania citizen, including generations yet to come. Whereas Title 34, Section 103 of the Game Code provides ownership, jurisdiction, and control of game and wildlife to the Commission. Whereas the mission of the Pennsylvania Game Commission is to manage Pennsylvania's 480 wild birds, wild mammals, and their habitats for current and future generations. Whereas the Pennsylvania Game Commission does not receive revenue from the Pennsylvania General Fund. Whereas there is a recognized need to expand the dedicated and sustainable funding base for wildlife conservation in Pennsylvania and throughout the nation. And whereas the Blue Ribbon Panel on Sustaining America's Diverse Fish and Wildlife Resources, made up of 26 business and conservation leaders, was tasked with recommending a new funding mechanism to support state fish and wildlife conservation, to ensure the sustainability of all fish and wildlife for current and future generations. And whereas the Blue Ribbon Panel on Sustaining America's Diverse Fish and Wildlife Resources has recommended that Congress dedicate to the states and territories $1.3 billion annually to the Wildlife Conservation Restoration Program to diversify funding and management of all wildlife. Whereas the Recovering America's Wildlife Act would fund recommendations of the Blue Ribbon Panel on Sustaining America's Diverse Fish and Wildlife Resources by making funds available for management of fish and wildlife species of greatest conservation need as determined by state fish and wildlife agencies in each state's wildlife action plan. And whereas securing dedicated funding, federal funding, is likely to require non-federal state match similar to that in place for Pittman and Robertson. And whereas, therefore be it resolved to support the recommendation of the Blue Ribbon Panel on Sustaining America's Diverse Fish and Wildlife Resources. Be it further resolved that the Pennsylvania Game Commission encourage other state fish and wildlife agencies throughout the country to do the same. Be it further resolved to support broadening non-federal dedicated funding mechanisms for wildlife conservation and implementation of the Pennsylvania's Wildlife Action Plan, and to serve as the state's 25% match, and in the event that the new dedicated funding is secured.
You have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? None being heard, Madam Secretary, we call the vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, just for everybody's knowledge, we held an executive session this morning to discuss the release of the quail plan for public comment. The board supports the release of the quail plan for public comment. No action is needed on that. Our next meeting will be September 10th and 11th, 2021. Do I have a motion adjourned?
I have other new business.
Is there any more? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that in executive session, the board has also agreed to release $30,000 a year to the rehabbers who treat lead-poisoned eagles, ospreys, and peregrine falcons. A year ago, we had previously agreed to $15,000, but we decided to up it to $30,000 a year, and I think this is for an extremely good cause. And I thank all the commissioners for their support on that.
Thank you. Do you have any other comments? Have a motion adjourned?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll take about a 10-minute break, and there'll be a press conference for the press right here in this room here.